Do you know what prison looks like? Cold, dark cells, metal bars, and nothing but misery. But what if I told you that, for the ultra-rich, prison is more like a vacation resort? Yes, you heard that right. In today's video, we're diving into luxury prisons where inmates enjoy private suites, top-notch chefs, and even helicopter rides. Stay with us as we explore 13 prisons where money buys comfort, even behind bars. Number 1. The scandal that shook Indonesia. In Indonesia, the story of Artalita Suryani became an international scandal. She was convicted of bribing a government official and sentenced to 5 years in prison. But when a camera crew paid a surprise visit to her cell, they discovered something shocking. Instead of a cold, damp cell, Artalita lived in a space resembling a hotel suite. Her room was 64 square meters, about the size of a small apartment. It had a king-sized bed, a flat-screen TV, and a private bathroom. She even had access to beauty treatments, with a personal beautician visiting her in prison. People were furious. How could someone convicted of bribery use more bribes to make prison life comfortable? The story spread quickly, and Indonesians were outraged. How was it possible for a convicted criminal to live in such luxury while others were struggling in overcrowded cells? The video footage caused a national scandal, leading to investigations into corruption within the prison system. But Artalita's case was just the tip of the iceberg. Number 2. The luxury island prison of Norway. Now let's head to Norway, where Bastøy prison is on a beautiful island. But don't let the scenic views fool you. This is a prison. Or is it? Bastøy looks more like a vacation resort than a place for criminals. Inmates here live in small shared apartments. They can walk by the sea, swim, or even fish in their free time. Even more surprising is that prisoners manage the ferry that brings them to the island. Yes, you heard that right. The prisoners are trusted to operate boats that could take them back to the mainland. It's all part of Norway's philosophy that prisoners should be given trust and responsibility. Life at Bastøy is a far cry from the harsh conditions of other prisons. Inmates are paid a small salary for their work, and they can spend that money at the island store. They get to enjoy meals in the dining hall and even have the freedom to take short vacations off the island. It sounds more like a community than a prison. Number 3. Pablo Escobar's mansion in the mountains. When you think of Pablo Escobar, you probably picture one of the most dangerous criminals in history. But did you know that even he managed to live in luxury while serving time? In the early 1990s, Escobar made a deal with the Colombian government. He agreed to surrender and serve time in prison on one condition: he would design the prison himself. The result was La Catedral, a luxurious prison that resembled a mansion. It had a soccer field, a personal gym, a bar, and even a disco. Escobar's private room had a rotating bed, a jacuzzi, and a 60-inch TV. He threw parties, hosted guests, and even held a wedding inside the prison. But Escobar's luxury life didn't last forever. After news spread that he had killed 4 people inside the prison, the government decided enough was enough. Before they could transfer him to a real prison, Escobar escaped through a secret tunnel. Today, La Catedral has been turned into a monastery run by monks. Number 4. A private paradise in Indonesia. Indonesia is no stranger to luxury prisons. Billionaire playboy Tommy Suharto was sentenced to 15 years in prison for paying hitmen to kill a judge. But prison life wasn't too hard on him. Tommy's cell was more like a private apartment. He had a TV, fresh bed sheets, and even air conditioning. Tommy's was even allowed to fly away from the prison to visit one of his girlfriends with a helicopter. The 3 rooms making up his living quarters included an entrance hall, bedroom, and bathroom. His cell was overlooking the garden, and he could enjoy some of the luxuries of home while serving his sentence. Meanwhile, other prisoners were crowded into dirty cells. Number 5. Norway's nature-loving prison. Next, we visit Norway, where the Halden Fengsel prison is tucked away deep in the forest. This fairy tale-like prison has no barbed wire and no high walls. Building this luxury prison cost $15 million by the government, which focused on human rights and rehabilitation. The philosophy of Halden Fengsel is that the prisoners will someday be returning to society. Therefore, Halden Fengsel has been designed more like a retreat rather than a prison. The prisoners stay in private cells with mini fridges, flat-screen TVs, and private bathrooms. They may also have a glimpse of nature. The large windows permit natural light and fresh air. Number 6. A billionaire behind bars. Through a party, former Colombian Senator Juan Carlos Martinez Sinisterra was sentenced to prison in Colombia for drug trafficking. But rather than suffer, he turned his prison cell into a party zone. So comfortable was Martinez Sinisterra in jail that he hosted a 2-day birthday party, replete with a salsa star, musicians, and alcohol. Martinez Sinisterra broke down the wall that separated the two cells to make a wider living area. The man was leading the life of a king in prison, where people outside were screaming to see the justice served. The pressure got so heavy, and Martinez Sinisterra was sent to some other prison that wouldn't have such amenities available. Number 7. Austrian spa prison. Austrian spa prison does much more than just serve time to its prisoners. Justice Center Leobi is a minimal security prison designed for people who have never committed violent crimes. It is more of a hotel than a prison, really, with cozy rooms, private bathrooms, and even a gym. Justice Center inmates enjoy a basketball court, fully equipped gym, and personal kitchens in their rooms. The philosophy behind the prison is pretty simple. If you treat people with respect and niceness, they're better equipped to be rehabilitated into society. But to others, such offerings are a slap in the face to victims of crime. Number 8. Spain's family prison. Imagine a prison that doesn't separate families. In Spain, the Aranjuez prison allows parents serving sentences to stay with their children up until they turn 3 years old. The premise is rather simple. Keeping families together might mean better rehabilitation for the parents and a more stable childhood for the kids. The prison has special family cells in which parents can stay with their children. Cribs, toys, and even a nursery school belong to these cells. For many prisoners, this setup enables them to maintain a bond with their children and provide stability, even when behind bars. When the kids reach the age of 3, they have to leave for other family members or foster care. This rare but important prison concept teaches a lesson. Prisoners with families can be given the opportunity to raise their children during the most critical, early years of life, which could make a huge difference in their rehabilitation. It's not about doing time, but it's about helping prisoners reconnect to society through their families. Number 9. The Swiss prison with a luxurious twist. Next is a Swiss prison that houses some of the wealthiest inmates within the country's walls. Champdalen Prison has been referred to as the inmates' hotel of ultimate luxury. Instead of cold, hard cells that one might think prisons would have, the prisoners here live in bright and airy rooms with private bathrooms and plush furniture. This prison is maximum security, but the things it offers out of comfort are basically unheard of by other prisons. The philosophy here is that even prisoners who have committed serious crimes should be treated with dignity, and Swiss are of the view that creating more humane environments will help the inmates readjust to life in society. Critics, however, say these luxury prisons further point out how great a gap there is between rich and poor, even behind bars. Number 10. Alexander Makanoki Centre in Australia. Alexander Makanoki Centre is one of Australia's correctional facilities that actually operates in favor of rehabilitation rather than punishment. Situated in Canberra and designed with state-of-the-art features, it aims to help inmates rehabilitate into society once they have served their term in prison. This view forms the prison's philosophy. Treat the inmates humanely, and they will not reoffend, engendering individual and social benefits. The modern amenities include a single private room for every prisoner, and this private room is complete with natural light, a bathroom for personal purposes, education, and even vocational programs. There is an exercise room and other areas to engage in recreation for physical and mental well-being. Apart from condemnation, it tries to form an environment where prisoners can come out with the potential for growth, learning, and planning for a much better future. Alexander Makanoki Centre has been criticized, despite good intentions of being too soft on its inmates. Many feel that it does not feel at all like a prison, but instead a rehabilitation facility. It doesn't act adequately as a deterrent to commit crimes. However, supporters do believe this humane approach eventually leads to lower recidivism rates and a long run of justice. Number 11. Finland luxury rehabilitation prisons. While most of the world's prison systems focus on punitive measures, Finland's takes a very different track. The country's prisons, like Sukeva and Karava, work to rehabilitate rather than punish. Inmates should feel as free as possible while serving time, the thinking goes, and that sense of freedom will help them reintegrate into society. These are prisons in which the inmates live in dormitory-type housing and can roam freely inside the grounds. They would also receive education, vocational training, or even therapy on occasion. The prison guards did not carry weapons, and the atmosphere was relaxed. This was done so that the inmates could continue to lead productive lives when released. Finland's prison system was considered the best in the world, reducing recidivism rates. While some may think that prisoners deserve tougher treatment, Finland's system is proof that rehabilitation often works far better than punishment. It is a model other countries consider, at least much of Europe does, amid a consensus that crowded and brutal prisons aren't working. Number 12. Germany's humane prisons. Treatment and respect for inmates have formed a significant part of the German tradition for a long time. The best example comes in the form of JVA Fuhlsbüttel Prison, a penal colony designed on the lines of dignity and respect. The prisoners are lodged in private cells with modern furniture, big windows, and personal kitchens to boot. Certainly not what one visualizes when they refer to prison. The prison also offers education programs, job training, and therapy to help inmates rebuild their lives. The philosophy is simple: treat people with respect, even behind bars, and they will be better citizens upon release. It is a system that has worked for Germany, where recidivism rates remain relatively low compared to other countries. Critics might say such prisons, like JVA Fuhlsbüttel, are too soft on criminals, but they argue it cuts down crime in the long run. Focusing more on rehabilitation rather than punishment, Germany becomes the pioneer in building and constructing prisons that heal instead of hurting people. Number 13. Norway's hotel prison. Observe the case of Sollentuna prison in Norway that has times over been referred to as a luxury hotel. This is meant to be comfortable with an inmate's private room, complete with an ensuite bathroom and a personal kitchen and a common gym and sauna. It is part of the Norwegian belief that prisoners should be treated like humans, notwithstanding their crime. The underlying idea behind Sollentuna is that by having more comfortable living conditions, the inmates could try their best at rehabilitation. It is not punishment. Prisoners learn to help themselves and get ready for life outside. The prison is working on education and job training in conjunction with therapy for starting anew. These may be extreme luxuries for Sollentuna, but Norway believes it's the only real way to prevent crime in the future, give dignity to inmates. It has worked well in the country, which has one of the world's lowest recidivism rates. But is this a blueprint for the future of prisons, or an unfair advantage for those lucky enough to be sent here? Luxury prisons blur the very definition of what life in prison is to be. From posh amenities to comfy living conditions, they beg many a question. Should punishment relate to suffering? Or shall we shift our efforts and let the prisoners have an opportunity for rehabilitation? Most important of all, should wealth grant people comfort even behind bars? We have all seen how the ultra-rich can utilize every resource to avoid harsh conditions. But does that make the system unfair? Let us know what you think in the comments. Should prisons be the same for everybody? Or is there room for luxury even in punishment? Well, if that's your thing, then we have something you're going to want to see: how the Yakuza spend their billions. We enter a world of organized crime and take a proper look at some of the mind-blowing ways the Yakuza spends their astronomical fortunes. You simply won't believe what they do with all that money. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more fascinating stories from around the world.